Hello. Welcome to all of my challengers. Day one. Hope you all are having a wonderful day. I hope your Labor Day weekend went wonderful. And hopefully you didn't treat yesterday as if it was the Last Supper, because we know we're participating in a challenge. But I'm excited that to stand here before you hosting this challenge live. We are on day one of recovering from the summertime madness, how to get back on track with your weight loss and your health goals. And I want to welcome everybody. 3-day challenge called Summer Detox to get your weight back on track after the summer months. We are all trying to get back on a routine and just, hey, we want to make ourselves a priority and to get things back going. And so congratulations to those of you who signed up and are showing up live. And even if you cannot show up live, if you can pop in for a few minutes and pop out, then that is good as well. Okay, so set a goal for yourself to try to commit to showing up every day for these next 3 days at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And for those who don't know who I am Sandra Goldtree. I'm a registered dietitian, licensed nutritionist, also a certified personal trainer, and I am here exclusively for you for the next 3 days. I'm going to go live 3 days in a row, and my goal is to show you a different approach and a different mindset to healthy weight loss, to increasing your energy levels and feeling less bloated. And really the big challenge that many people have are, what do I eat? How do I eat that works best for my body? So those are some of the things that we're going to touch on and to help steer you in the right direction. And so I'm excited to spend this time with you over the next 3 days. And so if you were able to join the actual Facebook group, then you actually get even more support, because we have your other challenges in there, and we have a thread in there where we have questions and comments. And so we're able to support everybody. All right. So if you are excited, then just type in the chat box that you are excited. And so this 3-day challenge is a springboard. It's a perfect springboard to start the natural body detox. A lot of times people will buy things and do things, take away things, but there's a way. Our body's liver does a great job of naturally detoxifying toxins and removing toxins from our body. And so we can do things to help enhance that process, to improve that process to where our bodies are not having to work as hard, and it doesn't require extreme measures and spending a whole lot of money. All right. And so we're going to kind of take a cleanse from the summer indulgences, the traveling, and we're flexible in the summertime. So we want to kind of get back on track and to know that it's not too late to meet those goals. Okay. And so a heads up, stay tuned with me to the very end. I want to definitely speak with you about a special opportunity for those who definitely want to say, hey, I need a little bit more than this 3-day challenge, and you want to take a deeper dive. Okay. And so there's an opportunity for that. And this opportunity will allow you to kind of wave goodbye to the bloating, gain confidence in how and what to eat that works best for your body, and to finally tame those sugar cravings so you can overcome that emotional or stress eating. All right. So think about getting leaner, revealing those hidden muscles before the holidays. All right. All right. So stay with me and we'll talk more about that, but a little bit about me. And so for those of you who are tuning in with me for the first time, I just kind of will share my journey and my story in brief. I went through a period of my own weight loss denial. And so I was tagged with prehypertension in my early 30s. And so I was told to lose weight, about 20, 25 pounds, and I was given a sheet of paper and said, hey, you need to reduce the amount of salt that you were eating. And I really didn't have a roadmap. I really didn't know what to do. I was really in disbelief. It was the first time that I had ever received any unfavorable news from the doctor. So I was kind of shocked. I was kind of shocked, and I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do? I was in denial because I didn't think I needed to lose weight. I thought I was looking fine and didn't need to lose any weight. But the reality of the situation was my body, my heart was working more than it needed to, because I was carrying too much weight for my frame at that time. And so I tried on my own for 3 years to try to figure it out. I made changes. I did back then. It was a Google search. It wasn't, it wasn't even a Google search. I just went to the World Wide Web. So it was the nutrition information was as plentiful as it is today. But I came across some credible resources as far as the DASH diet, which is a very popular and very well-respected eating pattern, and it did shape and change, and it was an eye-opener that I was not eating as healthy as I thought, because it's more than just about not cooking with salt, and it's more than just about not really eating junk food and sweets and stuff like that. So I did see that I had a lot of room for improvement, and I worked on those things and took the advice of this document, and I was able to stop the gain, because I found myself, I had gained 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds in 1 year, and didn't even know it until I went to the doctor and saw it on the scale. And that's when my blood pressure started giving me problems. And I was not able to lose the weight. I was able to stop the gain. And then in the process of those 3 years, my blood pressure was still elevated. So I still really wasn't solving the underlying problem. And after a while, I just had to realize I'm stressing myself out. Enough is enough. I'm at risk for diabetes. I'm at risk for chronic kidney disease. My doctor kept telling me, because I wanted to avoid meds at all costs, and I was trying to fix myself. And so what I realized was that I needed to get help. That's when I got help from a dietitian, and she helped me connect dots that I did not know how to connect. And as with her help, in 3 months, I was able to lose close to 25 pounds. And I was trying to do that in 3 years. And I kept that off since 2000. So more importantly, she taught me how to keep it off. Lose it, she also taught me how to keep it off, which is very important. It's great to lose weight, but if you gain it back, what's the point? And so she gave me those tools in order to do that. And so what I considered was a setback ended up becoming a comeback, and it changed my life. It really changed my life. And I know for a fact that I would have had a lot of health problems had I not made the change. And so my situation ended up being genetics. So I still ended up getting the diagnosis, more so unknown reason. They call it essential hypertension. However, I still needed to make the changes, because had I not made the changes, then I would have been on multiple meds, and it just would not have been controlled. And one thing, if we're not able to prevent something and it does progress to an actual disease state, we don't have to suffer, or we don't have to, it's not a death sentence. And there's ways to manage it to where you can still live a happy and normal life without a whole lot of meds and without a whole lot of external intervention. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, and why I went back to school, changed careers, so that I can use my experience as well as credentials and expertise in order to help others not waste that time that I wasted. All right. So I encourage you to listen to my story. I spoke about it a little bit in the pre-challenge bonus. All right. So let's talk about the agenda. So let's dive on in and talk about the agenda. So first, we're going to talk about the main topic for today, which is recovering from the summertime madness and how to get back on track with your weight and your weight loss goals. Second, we're going to jump into if there are any questions. So as you are listening, definitely chime in, and actually let me set up my windows. Let me set my windows so that if you are asking questions, I am able to respond to you. So that's what it's all about. Okay, so I see one window here where I am live. So if you are able to, so I will say hello here. So if those who are listening, I have multiple threads going. So those who are listening on that thread, then I am able to chime in and participate and listen to you and answer your questions in real time. And so we're going to talk about any questions or any comments that I may see in the chat. I'll address those. And then as well as we're going to talk about the meals for the remainder of the day, and as well as going into tomorrow. And we'll kind of I'll give you a little bit more insight on the guidebook. Okay. So if you need a little bit more direction on that, then I'm able to give you that as well. So I'm here to support you throughout this journey. So this is not a typical challenge where you're kind of on your own with your friends, doing it on your own. I am here as a registered dietitian, licensed nutritionist, to guide you and to answer any questions and to set you on a path where you can continue this beyond the 3 days. All right. And so, as we know, there is a lot of nutrition information out there at your fingertips, okay? Not a good thing, okay? Because sometimes it can definitely lead people down a path that does more harm than good. And so when looking at the best tips on how to lose weight and to keep it off, it sometimes seems endless amount of advice, okay? And it can be overwhelming, it can be confusing, and in many cases, it is conflicting, okay? And the problem is, although the very restrictive diets and elimination meal plans will most likely result in the short-term weight loss, most people can't maintain them. They're not fun. In many cases, they're expensive. And so after a week or two, or even a few months, they kind of throw in the towel. Okay. They throw in the towel. And so, well, let me see here. Let me make sure. Yes, make sure I have my banner set up for you all. And so and we're going to talk about on day one, we're going to talk about 3 sets of action-oriented strategies that will help you to get back on track. Okay. Something, when I say action-oriented, that means it's realistic and that you can actually do it. Maybe not do all 3, pick one, but it's all about having realistic goals. All right. So if we're ready to jump in, then just go ahead and type ready as people are tuning in. I see people tuning in. Tell me your name. Tell me where you're tuning in from. If you're excited about the challenge, share with me about breakfast, which was the apple cinnamon overnight oats. So share with me that process, grocery shopping over the weekend, anything. So here's your time to get any of your burning questions answered. All right. So the first thing we want to do is to forgive yourself. Okay. So again, we're talking about 3 easy action-oriented steps that you can do. Forgive yourself for the summer and move on. Okay. We like to hit the rewind button and to kind of beat ourselves up. Okay. So we all had several episodes, regardless of where the overeating may have stemmed from, whether this is not the time to feel angry, to stress out about it, to fear about it. Forgive yourself. This is a new day. Now let's figure out how to get back on track. A lot of us talk about getting back on track, but we don't really know how to get back on track. We typically will follow a cleanse we did before, or a detox that we did before, or a fast, or do something that we've done in the past. But we got to sometimes do something a little different. Okay. And so try to learn from your experience, make a plan for the next time, because we want to have fun, but we don't want to have to lose 20 pounds either every year. Right. So focus on the positive changes that you're making in your eating habits, and give yourself credit for making those changes. Okay. And so then the changes may include the fact that you're participating in this challenge. That's definitely a good thing. You're eating less than what you normally would, or maybe you're making different food choices, or maybe what I like to do is add things back, because in many cases people take away so much and they restrict so much that what they're eating is not giving their bodies enough of what they need. And so I'm all about adding things back and giving you the understanding and the education as to why this food is good for you versus maybe what you have heard. Okay. Because maybe a diet had taken it off. And so any change is progress moving forward. Okay. All righty. So let's post yes or no if you're ready to forgive and move on. Okay. Just what's done is done. Let's move on. Okay. And one of the goals that you can set for yourself while you're doing this challenge is, are you at a place mentally, emotionally, where you're ready to accept what's done is done? Okay. What's done is done. And just because things have gone a certain way for years, that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. So a lot of times people think, well, this is just the way it is. This is the way it's always been. But know that it does not have to stay that way. All right. And so our second action item that is important, or our second actionable goal that we can set for ourselves, is to, I like to say, let good be good enough. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, I skipped one. Let me go back. Let me put the right banner up. Actually, lose the all or nothing mindset. This is very common, especially for my ladies. If we got to be all in, we feel like if we can't give it our 100% or all in attention, then we can't do it. We have maybe too many things going on. We're feeling overwhelmed, etc. We want to lose that. It's not about perfection. It's not about being all in. It's about baby steps. It's about staying in the game, because I always tell people, whatever's going on, it's going to continue to go on. It's not going to go away. It's your life. And we have to figure out, how do we integrate making yourself a priority, still eating healthy, still sleeping well, still exercising, while you still have the chaos going on. Okay. I guess we call it life is life in now. That's the new term. We shouldn't have to choose one or the other. And that's typically what happens. We put sleep to the side, we put eating to the side, we just order out. And so we want to not feel like we have to have this perfect scenario, because it will not happen. It's not real life. So we want to make sure that we kind of give ourselves grace and realize that, hey, we didn't get here overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight. So you have to go through the little bumps and the little uncomfortableness in order to reach the end goal. Okay. end goal. And so if you can relate, because this is an ouch moment, with a lot of us, we just have so much going on and we just kind of tend to put ourselves on the back burner, and then we wonder why we're sick. We wonder why we have inflammation. We wonder why we're tired and we're sluggish all the time. We're wondering why our labs aren't good. We wonder why we got oh gosh, now the pre-diabetes or crossover to diabetes. I mean, there are things that we can do and so that we can prevent these things from happening. Okay. And so, in all honesty, nutrition there's no such thing as perfection with nutrition anyway. So, when you expect some kind of divine perfection with our eating, then we're really setting ourselves up for failure. So, I assure my clients that each slip up is a stumbling, and each stumble, they're necessary. They're teachable moments because we're trying to change our mindset. And this is a perfect time to rewind and to identify the trigger and at least ask yourself, well, what can you do differently? That's as far as you want to go, because guess what? It's going to happen again. You're going to have situations pop up again. And so you want to know, well, what can you do differently next time that moves you closer to your goals and to where we're not stress eating, we're not emotional eating, we're not eating just out of habitual, and then we beat ourselves up for that. But guess what? The problem's still there. So it didn't solve the problem. So we got to figure out, how do we detach food from the problem so that we're not making ourselves unnecessarily sick in the process. Okay. So that's what we want to ultimately get to. And so now let's talk about how we can let good enough be good enough. Okay. And so again, this kind of ties in to that all or nothing. Okay. So any form of restriction or restrictive diet that typically leads to some kind of guilt and some kind of shame. Okay. So my recommendation is to simply don't diet. Okay. They don't work. They appear to work maybe, but I can always counter that. I can always debate that with somebody. But we don't want to diet, which is low carb, whether that's high protein, over restricting something, depriving yourselves of something, because our body needs what it needs in order to work at its optimal. Okay. But your body can't lose weight if it's deprived. Okay. And I know many people know the answer to that or have experience in that. And that's why they're so frustrated. And so you want to eat healthy, but you want to know what that means. Okay. And so and eating healthy requires a definition. So let me define what that means. It does not mean going without carbs or going without eating a certain food group, okay? Because that is too restrictive, okay? And so I want you to know and find your healthy-ish or good enough, okay? And that's what I mean by let good enough be good enough. And what does that mean? That means forget about the dieting mentality of there's good food, bad food. I do not like tags. There's no such thing as good food. There's no such thing as bad food. Yes, we have foods that are healthier than others. However, food is for nutrition. Food is for fun. So sometimes we need a little of what you would call the bad stuff. But I don't like to put tags on food because it gives it too much power. It gives food too much power. If you have this long list of foods that you should not eat, or you feel like you should not eat because a diet said so, or XYZ, a lot of times we want to get rid of that, okay? Unless you've been tested and a test reveals XYZ, a self-diagnosis, usually you're limiting things that you shouldn't eliminate. We don't want to have guilt or shame around food. A lot of times people identify themselves by what they eat. If they overate or they felt like they ate something that they shouldn't have ate or eaten, then they feel like a bad person, or they feel shame around that. And again, giving food way too much power. You do not want to link your value as a person to what you eat. Okay, what you want to do is understand the place that food has, okay? And that's where that education comes in. So it shouldn't make you feel good. It shouldn't make you feel bad. That never works in the long run, okay? So life and food are supposed to coexist and you should have enjoyment, okay? I talk to a lot of clients, especially my female clients, where they feel bad about eating something that they enjoy eating. And you shouldn't feel that way. Okay. So that's where we have to break the dieting mindset. That's where we have to build that healthier relationship with food. And that's very important. And so eating unhealthy food does not make you unhealthy. It doesn't make you a failure as a person. It doesn't make you a bad person. Okay. Unhealthy food should not outweigh healthy food, though. So that's where you have to understand. We say moderation, but a lot of times people don't understand what moderation means. So we have to make sure we understand what that means. Okay. Okay, it's unrealistic to think that you'll never eat something sweet or something salty or something fried, or that's just not life. Okay, so it's about that balance and understanding what balance is, and understanding what balance is not. Okay, and so again, any questions pop up, do not hesitate to reach out. And so let's talk about that perfection, good enough. Where do you need most support? Okay, so if not, like, for number one, if you feel like the diet is it's not successful if you are not 100% committed, that's not all or nothing. Okay, so are you that person? Or if you feel like eating a food that's off plan, which again is a dieting mindset, then you feel like you must start over. You almost start, oh, I'll just let it all go and I'll start over on Monday, or I'll start over at the beginning of the month. That's pretty typical. That means you're trying to be a perfectionist. None of us are perfect. Only one person. Jesus is the only one that's perfect. We are not perfect. We are flawed, right? And you feel like living or giving into a craving, whether that's sweet, whatever the craving is. It doesn't have to be sweet. A lot of times people associate cravings with sweets. If you're overindulging, it's a craving. Means that you're undisciplined, or that you're falling short. Or here's another good one: you feel like you don't have any willpower, which is definitely not the case. They're totally unrelated. Then you feel like, that's where the good enough. That's what we have to feel like we're good enough, okay? Because we are human, and willpower you'll never lose weight with willpower, okay? So that's a whole nother lie. So we wanted to just kind of set ourselves up for success and make sure that we are on the right track, okay? And so let's take this thing on home, okay? And so let's talk about prioritizing sleep, okay? So important, prioritizing sleep, hydration, and exercise, okay? So those that have been following me know that I put a strong emphasis on self-care. Self-care is very, very important. Weight loss is not about losing weight. Weight loss is not just about food, okay? We put a lot of emphasis on that. But we want to make sure that that self-care is in the mix. And there's no one size fit all for self-care. Okay. For everybody, it's different. Your self-care plan needs customizing to what you are doing in life. But 3 important self-care practices that directly impact not only a successful weight loss, but also your optimal health are sleep, okay, hydration, and exercise. Okay. And this order is for a reason, because a lot of times people will put a lot of emphasis on exercise, but they're overwhelmed. They're not hydrated. They're not eating properly. They're not sleeping properly. So you're not going to get the benefits that you're desiring from exercise and what exercise is intended to do. It's supposed to calm you. It's supposed to give you, of course, the strength and the flexibility and for disease management and prevention. But if your life is in chaos, the exercise is not going to solve the problem. So you got to make sure all these matters are in place. And so I'm going to touch on that very briefly. We want to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's what the sleep experts recommend. Of course, I realistically try to get you to 7 hours, okay? Because many people do not get 6 hours, much less 7. So that is very important. Sleep powers the mind, restores the body, fortifies virtually every system in your body. Okay. And so if you're not rested, that's where weight loss happens. That's where muscle recovery and building happens. That's when our mind rests. So sleep is very, very important. Okay. And that's really where this thing begins. Hydration is very, very important. Again, that's how we can survive several days without food, but we cannot survive several days without proper hydration. So I think that says enough in itself. So one way to know that if you're properly hydrated is your urine. So if it's clear, lemonade, you're good. If it's yellow, you're not hydrated. So that's kind of an easy way, not the half your body weight ounces, or all that kind of stuff. It's different for everybody. And it also depends on your sweat rate. It depends on how active you are. So there's so many factors that go into hydration, but that is one sure way to kind of get your body on track. Okay. All righty. And effective, let's talk about exercise. Effective and efficient exercise. It's great to walk 10,000 steps. Don't stop, but we need to add to it. Okay. Because it's all about building endurance with your heart, building endurance muscles. So we want to make sure that you're challenging your body and you're doing cross training. You're not doing the same thing over and over again. I'm a proponent of group classes. I'm a proponent of working with a trainer, because then that way you at least have somebody making sure that you're getting all the components that you need. And then now when you have the exercise then when you have the nutrition side of it, then you have the best of both worlds. Okay. And so you want to make sure you're not just overdoing it with weights. That's typical of my men, or overdoing it with cardio. That's typical of my ladies, so you want to have the combination of the two, as well as stretching, as well as resting. So we want to make sure all of those things are in the mix. Okay. And so where do you feel you need support? Sleeping, hydration, exercise. Most people, we probably need a little bit of all of it, but where do you need to start? If you're not getting 7 hours of sleep or even close to it, that's where you need to start. Okay. Hydration too, just drink more water. That's an easy one, but a lot of times you're not even able to perform at your best with your exercise. You're not able to lift as heavy. You're not able to go to, your endurance is not as long. You risk injury if you're tired and exhausted. Most people are not even motivated to exercise if they're sleep deprived. So we want to make sure so that's kind of like the root, of a lot of it. So make sure you're getting enough sleep. All right. And then in a nutshell, we want to, this is some of the steps to help you to get back on track after the summertime fun or madness. and it's not about beating yourself up and for whatever weight you may have gained, or you maybe feel like you just kind of overdid it. The real key to safe and successful weight loss is to adopt a healthy lifestyle that suits your individual needs and that you can maintain. Okay. Something that's realistic and that you can maintain. That is the true definition of discipline. All right. And so while there are many ways to lose weight, you want to adapt a healthy eating habits. You want to find an effective exercise plan that you enjoy and that you will follow. And you want to ensure self-care, sleep. You want to make sure hydration, hobbies, have something that you enjoy doing. Okay. And so before we go into the rest of the challenge, let me speak to you about the special opportunity that I wanted to talk to you about. And so for those who want to take things further than this challenge and you want to say goodbye to frustrating diets, and et cetera, I want to speak to you about what I have coming up next, which is a self-paced 6-week program called Fuel and Train to the Max. And it actually combines both the nutrition side of the house as well as an exercise rotation, because many times you have a boot camp and you focus on one or the other, whether that's exercise or whether that's nutrition, but not one that marries the two. And it's not your typical boot camp. It's not about it's about mastering and having understanding. It's about education. So you have 6 weeks of meal plans and 6 weeks of snacks all laid out for you. Okay. And each week is a different theme. And then you also have an exercise rotation that is there for you if you don't already follow exercise rotation. So some people go to Orange Theory. Some people have a personal trainer. If you have that, keep that. That's great. But for those who don't really have a roadmap to follow regarding exercise, then this is kind of a bonus that's tacked on. But the cornerstone of it all is the nutrition. So you're going to have that piece of it. So you're going to have 6 weeks of clean eating, well-designed meal plans and snacks. You're going to have 6 weeks of powerhouse cross-training workouts if you need them. And you will also have 6 weeks of valuable and nutrition training and education that you will have a different topic with a different focus. And just to tell you some of the focuses, a full body detox. So we're going to talk about how to enhance and rejuvenate your body. We're going to talk about carbs, good carbs, bad carbs. Do we need them? What in the world? What do we need to do to burn the fat? And we're going to also talk about cravings. So that's kind of 3 of the 6 topics that we talk about. However, it's a self-paced, meaning you work at your own pace. Everything is recorded so that you don't have to worry about trying to get on live to see it live and listening to the replay later. Everything is right there for you. And so each week a new module will open up. And so that's what the beauty is. You can do it at your own pace and at your own time. And it's available to you. And I'm going to give you the link where you can actually check out the URL, where you can check it out and get more details. But take advantage of, it's a $200 savings on the early bird special. So it's very, very low priced. And I think it's very affordable for what you're getting for 6 weeks. Okay. The training, a nutrition plan, and you have access to me as well. So you have access to me through email, through support, and then also you will have the first 7 that sign up will have an opportunity to have a one-on-one session with me, to where I can zone in even more to what you need and make appropriate tweaks or recommendations to the meal plans that are out there. But the meal plans, oh my gosh, you're going to have several recipes that you can keep, modify, and use beyond the 6-week program. But the 6-week program is just designed to help you to burn that fat, to build up your metabolism, to promote sleep, and to just start making those lifestyle changes. But you're gonna have a lot more guided support in doing so. And so that is the beauty of it all. So any questions that pop up, then do not hesitate to reach out and ask. Okay. And you guys are getting first dibs of this because you're participating in the challenge. And so it's going to open up to the public on Friday. Okay. And so if there are any questions or comments on the challenge, then here's your chance to, at least get them answered live. You always can post in the thread under this video in order to get additional information. So definitely do that. And then, but I would like to hear, how was your grocery shopping? How was the prepping? Because remember, you have a meal prep guide. Was it helpful? What were some teachable moments that you got there? How did you like the breakfast? Did it hold you to lunch? Were you surprised that it held you to lunch? Okay. And if you feel hungry for lunch, you are supposed to. A lot of times people say they don't eat breakfast because they're hungry. You're supposed to feel hungry. That's your metabolism waking up. And that's what starts the process of burning fat, which is what you want at the end of the day. Okay, and so for the remaining of the day, if you haven't had lunch, we have the tuna edamame salad. We have the hummus dippers with the cheese. You can use different vegetables if you like. So don't feel like you have to do the peppers. You can do the vegetables that you like. You have some soup with kale chips, which is I enjoy that very much. I like my kale chips crunchy. So if you have an air fryer, that's something that you can use to get them back crispy again. And you have your snacks. So remember I said that your snacks, you can alternate your snacks if you need to. You don't have to do them in the order that's listed, but the snack is very easy, a nectarine or a similar fruit if you don't like nectarine, and some popcorn. Very easy, right? So we have some easy stuff here, and then tomorrow you'll be able to take advantage of leftovers. So you don't have to worry about, at least for breakfast and lunch, you'll have leftovers. And so if there's any other questions that you have regarding the meals for the remaining of the day, and then tomorrow I'll resume by talking about lunch. Okay, but we have leftovers for the oaks. If you made those, then you have the second half for tomorrow morning. Okay, so wanted this challenge to be easy, but more so I wanted you to see the color and the variety of foods and snacks that you can have, and you feel satisfied and you feel less bloated and you feel good about yourself. So that is all that I have for today. Thank you for tuning in. And for those who are in the Facebook group, I will watch out for questions and comments in the thread. Post photos, videos, aha moments, comments, challenges. I definitely want to hear about your challenges so we can make this an enjoyable journey for you. And I will see each and every one of you tomorrow. So have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.